there is something like seriously wrong. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, she's called it insulting. So, and it really comes down to the question of what do you want to do as a Bernie Sanders supporter? I think this is a choice that really only you can make based on your perception. But like personally, here's what I would do. If I could vote, I would not vote for Joe Biden. I just would probably stay home because there's no one out there, or maybe like vote in a third party depending on whatever. I mean, just based on the way this time is now, because if I vote for Joe Biden, if I vote for Donald Trump, which I would never do, it wouldn't matter. Like, it just wouldn't matter. It does not make really that much of a difference either way in terms of like who you end up supporting. But because of the fact that you live in a state that's going to go blue no matter what. If you're me, and if you're anyone else who lives in New York, for all the Bernie Sanders supporters out there in blue states, like, vote whoever you want. If you're in the red states as well, if you're in a solidly colored state, I guess you could say, one way or the other. I mean, I guess you vote for whoever you want. If you want to vote for Joe Biden, go ahead, vote for Joe Biden, show your support. But it doesn't. I really don't think it matters whichever way you do. But if you're in a state that may go one way or the other, it's a battleground state. Then I think if it were me, I would vote for Joe Biden, because I think Joe Biden's better than Donald Trump. Like, it's just that simple. And I think if you are in a position to influence the outcome of the election, I think the harm reduction point of view makes sense to me. But I also do understand people who are never Biden, even if they do live in a swing state, because of really just the way the campaign's gone, the way the establishment and the way Joe Biden as a whole, and just the whole Democratic Party has dealt with the Bernie Sanders campaign and some of the stuff that's been pulled on the Bernie Sanders campaign. I totally get what they're doing. I get why Bernie Sanders coming out to endorse him. Like, people texting me today, people were saying, "Oh, how do you feel about this? How do you feel about that?" Like, I mean, it is it's like, it didn't surprise me at all. Like, it's still painful to watch. It sucks to watch Joe Biden and Bernie Sanders coming together on a live stream talking about all this stuff.
Up our democracy. We all have to know the clock is ticking. We don't have a moment to waste in combating the climate crisis. It's existential threat to us. In short, we need to build a fair, more inclusive, more resilient America. And with that in mind, I'd like to welcome to this conversation a leader who shares those values and has been an outspoken advocate for that vision for a long time. My friend, Senator Bernie Sanders. Bernie, welcome.
Joe, thank you very much for your remarks, and thank you for welcoming me to your live stream here. As you've indicated, we are living in an unbelievably unprecedented moment. You and I were chatting a few months ago. Not in a million years would we have believed that we would be talking to each other in our respective homes, that we could not, do rallies, that we could not get out of the house. We would not have believed that we'd be looking not only at a pandemic, which, as you indicated, has taken over 20,000 lives in our country, 500,000 people infected, but has cost us 16 million jobs. And that's probably a conservative number. The real number is probably higher than that. So we are in a terrible moment, an unprecedented moment. And I know we share the understanding that we've got to go forward right now and out of this in an unprecedented way to address the terrible pain that so many of our fellow Americans are feeling. So today I am asking all Americans, I'm asking every Democrat, I'm asking every independent, I'm asking a lot of Republicans to come together in this campaign to support your candidacy, which I endorse.
Yeah, so that's pretty much how it played out there. Joe Biden, Bernie Sanders talking it out, uniting, or at least attempting to unite, which, I mean, I don't think really Bernie Sanders could influence 100% of his campaign and his voters to go one way or another at this point because they have their own values, they have their own beliefs. It's not a cult of personality, despite what so many people might think. Like, it's not like, oh, we love Bernie. Like, I don't want Bernie Sanders to be my mom or to be my dad. I don't want him to be my best friend. I don't want to be my tough talking grandpa. No, I just want him to enact Medicare for all in this country. Like, it's just that simple. And I don't care if Bernie Sanders does it. I don't care if literally Joe Biden does it. Like, I don't care. But I think obviously Bernie Sanders has said he's going to do it. Joe Biden has not. So like that's really the thought process of, I'd say, a large majority of Bernie Sanders supporters and Bernie Sanders voters in this primary and in 2016. So that kind of shows you why it's going to be harder to support him. And I mean, it really kind of sucks. It sucks to see this happening. It's very, very tough. But will I work? Because I did unprecedented. I went to a Bernie Sanders rally, as you know. If you've listened to the show since he did rally in Queens, I went to that. It was a wonderful experience. And yeah, I've supported obviously the Bernie Sanders campaign. I'm probably been involved in politics and involved in the Bernie Sanders campaign. I never thought this would ever happen to me in any really kind of way, and to see that coming to an end like this in such a really disappointing way is incredibly sad and sorry to see. And you really do hate to see that kind of thing. And do I have any incentive or any motivation to work for Joe Biden and be as involved in his campaign? No. And the funny thing is, I don't think Joe Biden's biggest supporters do either, because all I've seen are screenshots of tweets today being like, why would anyone want to make a phone call or knock doors? Like, what? I do get it's a pandemic, but in normal circumstances, people hate getting political phone calls. They're so stupid. This is the message that I'm getting for the Joe Biden campaign. It's very nerve-wracking. It's very nerve-wracking. It shows you they don't have the organizing, they don't have the army, they don't have the desire, really, to do what it takes with a field operation to win this election. And Bernie Sanders is probably going to do his best, but if the excitement's not there for the candidate, there's no one really to blame but the candidate. And will the candidate be blamed? Will the appropriate blame be apportioned by the Democratic Party and the media class after Joe Biden loses? If Joe Biden loses, which is it's honestly 50-50 at this point. If you think it's really going to be you're crazy. It's not. It's just not. The left is going to be blamed if Joe Biden wins, and if Joe Biden loses, and will receive no credit if he wins, because that's just the way it works. The Democratic Party has spit on its left wing since the beginning of time, since there was a left wing of the Democratic Party, because of the fact that it's just the way it's been. So it's really hard to find a reason, really hard to find a motivation to get excited to vote for Joe Biden, or even to vote for him if you're in a comfortable state. So that's kind of where I stand on it. If you feel like you have the need to vote for Joe Biden, and if you're in New York, I don't really get where you're coming from on that, but you do you. So anyway, yeah, I do want to get another big progressives reaction on this. In an interview with the New York Times, Stead Herndon, in an interview, Stead Herndon talked to AOC about this, arguing the presumptive 2020 Democratic presidential nominee Joe Biden has much work to do when it comes to motivating those within the progressive movement inspired and led by Bernie Sanders over the past 5 years. I don't think this conversation about changes that need to be made is one about throwing the progressive wing of the party a couple bones. I think this is about how we can win, Ocasio-Cortez told The Times. In the Times interview, Ocasio-Cortez made clear she intends to support Biden if he's the nominee, which it looks like he will be, but said that thus the former vice president's overtures to the Democratic Party's progressive wing leave much to be desired. Yeah, you're telling me. I mean, two big things. I put this idea out there. I mean, maybe you could pick for example, Pramila Jayapal. She's a woman. She's old. I mean, she's old enough. You can't pick AOC. She's too young. You can pick. I guess you could pick Ilhan Omar or Rashida Tlaib, but I think they have pretty promising careers. But picking Pramila Jayapal would be a great olive branch. She's just a name to throw out there if you want a good progressive VP to pick. I think she would definitely be pretty good. Another thing that Joe Biden could do is endorse and support Rashida Tlaib, who is currently running in a really, really tough primary race against the establishment-supported Brenda Jones and John Conyers' old Detroit seat. So Rashid Tlaib's seat now, but John Conyers used to have it, and she has the support of John Conyers' grandson, I believe, and a lot of the Democratic Party kind of machine there. So, and she's down by about 11 points, I believe. Brenda Jones, who's the woman challenging Rashid Tlaib. So, if she's out there, and you'd be a fool to be comfortable with that. You'd be a fool to be comfortable with that 11-point lead. So, yeah, she's going to get a lot of donations, and a big thing that they could do is, and Joe Biden probably won't do this, but it would go a long way, at least with me, when it comes to helping him win the progressive vote. I think it may make more sense to him. If he really wants to win the progressive vote, if he's desperate to do it, endorsing Rashid Tlaib would be a great way to do it. She's running an incredibly tough primary, and she was in a Zoom call where she talked about this. She needs really all the support that she can get. If you're out there, please go donate to Rashid Tlaib if you can, because she needs all your help. She needs all your help. She's one of the best people out there, really holding it down for the progressive left in Congress. So here is her about this.
The movement of DSA and what we all stand for. And no matter how much people want to try to talk about us in a way that is like othering us, or somehow that we're like, I hear the stories like, she's crazy. Nah, I'm radical. So what? I love humanity. I love people, and I don't ever want them to feel less than. And if that is making me somehow crazy, fine. You can label me. You can try to say my style is somehow whatever it is. But when I stick to the human stories, when I bring my district into the committee hearings, when I bring Congress into the district, I am showing them through a toxic tour, through housing justice tour. All of the things I've been able to do is elevate the voices of my residents on a national stage. And it has moved people closer to where we stand on a lot of these issues that are so critically important to us. I love...
Yeah, so that is her talking about her political philosophy. So if she wants to go out there and she really, I think, wants to support... If Joe Biden wants the support of the progressive left, endorsing Rashid Tlaib would be a huge huge help. It would really go a long way. So, yeah. But speaking of the squad here, let's get back to Ocasio-Cortez. Here's what she said about this. I think people understand that there are limits to what Biden will do, and that's understandable. He didn't run as a progressive candidate, but at the bare minimum, we should aspire to be better than what we have been before. At the same time, she said elsewhere in the interview, she needs people to feel hope when it comes to the next Democratic administration. As Common Dreams reported last Thursday, a new policy proposal from Biden to lower the Medicare eligibility age from 65 to 60 was met with disappointment, to say the least, from the left wing. The party and Ocasio-Cortez agreed. They floated this olive branch to the progressive left of lowering the Medicare age to 50, and that's almost insulting, she said. I think Hillary was looking at policies that lowered it to 50. So we're talking about a progressive concession that's 10 years worse than what the nominee had it in 2016. So that is damn right. So that's where the left is at right there. And some ideas for Biden to kind of win back the left. All right, let's take a trip across the pond. Just keep listening. It's the Spencer Walsh Radio Network. You may be well familiar with the Labour Party and Jeremy Corbyn. They are the left party in England and the UK. And there's this article here by John Trickett and Ian Lavery about this weekend's revelations about the conduct of the Labour Party staff undermining the 2017 general election campaign and abusing elected representatives, and they're calling it shameful. They demand an immediate and full investigation. So that is where they're at. And I do want to break down this article and what we have seen about it. First, John Trickett. He's a member of Parliament in the Labour Party. Ian Lavery he's part of Labour's left wing. He's also a member of Parliament. And this is how the article begins. Casual snobbery sexist and racist commentary, clandestine plotting, contempt for democracy, a sense of privilege and entitlement. This is not the Bullingdon Club. It is what runs through the messages revealed in the leaked document which found its way online yesterday. Many of its revelations are truly shocking. It shows that some of the